Yeah.
Now, you said that you relied a lot on emotional memory at certain points in your film career to kind of recreate a tough moment or something like that, like maybe your dad leaving you alone or something like that, going back to Delhi while you were in Bombay alone or something like that, and then you realize after a point that even though that was helpful, it was not good for your mental health, and that your therapist advised you not to do this to that extent and to kind of like try acting. uh, was this Mimi scene, did it rely on emotional memory?
So this is where I started
Okay.
experimenting with emotional memory, because before that I kind of used to feel, and I always say that now I realize that you should not limit your process. Sometimes you're like, oh, this is what works for me and this doesn't work for me.
Okay.
But I think sometimes you got to give the room to, try, hit and trial, because it may not work all the times, but
Right.
when it does some magic. I remember in Hiropanti, I had to cry in one scene, and I'd just had a fight with someone in the Vanity Man, and I had sort of cried. So I was like, oh, let me, actors do this, and let me, like, I've not had any training. So for me, I was always like, let me try method
But
acting.
you'd read about it.
Yeah, I'd read, I'd heard actors
Yeah.
speak about it. So I was like, oh, let me go back to what I was feeling in the Vanity. But I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I felt like I was over with that emotion and I wasn't coming back. And then I tried just being the character and trying to figure what the character went through just before, and that helped. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm more of a switch off, switch on. I can't go back to my emotional memory. During Mimi, there's one scene where it's like the peak of her breakdown.
Yeah.
And she puts powder on her face and she's crying and she's tearing her wallpapers
Like a
and all of
hysterical
that.
kind of,
Yeah, and it wasn't really choreographed. So Lakshman sir kind of left me free and he just asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, I'm here, and I would put powder, and at some point I'm assuming I would scream or throw it, and I would kind of go to the bed and I'll tear it. Now, I had to tear the posters and there were only one set of posters. So I knew that ye ek hi take milega, I can't do more than one. And I was psyching myself up because it was a montage, it didn't even have dialogues or real sound. I was psyching myself up with some memory, and I was seeing some pictures, and something that had really mentally affected me, emotionally affected me, and I was trying to get it back. And I did get like a lump in my throat, and I got emotional, and I was like, okay. And then I started walking towards the set when they called me. While I was walking, it all went back. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not feeling it anymore. Oh no, I'm not feeling it. And I went in front of the camera and I was like, chuck it, let me just go back to what I do. I'll think about the character. And I started performing like that. But when I screamed, I don't know what happened. Maybe everything that I had tried to bring up had gone down, but it kind of exploded. And when I started tearing the posters and I started crying, I really started crying and howling. And Lakshman sir said, cut. And I kept crying and I couldn't stop. And that was shocking for me because I felt like I was more switch off, switch on. I could start laughing the moment you say cut after crying. And it didn't happen for the first time. And that's when I was like, oh, this can work for me sometimes. So I have, going forward, tried it a few times. Like I tried it in Dopatti in some scenes to again go back to an emotional memory, which, is somewhere, there is always something that kind of gets you riled up or emotional. And I did that and I got the scene happened great. After a week or 10 days, I completely felt very low, very, very low for a good 7 to 8 days. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't understand why, it was just weird. And I meditate with this one woman, not my therapist, but actually I meditate with her. It's to do with visualization and all, and I share a lot with her.
Oh, sorry. So it was not your therapist?
No, not therapist.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I told her, I said, I don't know why I'm feeling this, but I'm feeling extremely low. And she knew what film I was doing. So she was like, was there a scene or was there anything? And you did something? And I said, yeah, there was a scene. And I kind of went back to my emotional memory, which she knew about. And she was like, can you please stop doing that? So I was like, but it helps me. She's like, yeah, great, Kriti. I know you're hungry. I know you want to be a good actor. I know you want to perform your best. But you also want to be a happy person, right? You know, it's about your life. What you're doing is you're going back to a wound and you're kind of poking it again and again and you're not letting it heal.
Yeah.
You know, so you need to stop doing that. So all the memories that I had in my phone, which I was like, kind of holding on to somewhere, and sometimes using it for some scenes when I knew it's going to affect me, I just went to my phone and I deleted everything.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I shouldn't do this anymore. And it's not good for my mental health. And I feel like as actors, sometimes, we want to give our 100%, but it's a job that demands a lot of emotional and mental part of you, and you give a lot every time, especially to intense roles.